Today, I'm so excited to share with you this relatively new area of research in psychology called post-traumatic growth. Now, I know most of you have heard of post-traumatic stress disorder, but post-traumatic growth is something that gives us hope, gives us a sense of new possibilities after we've experienced trauma. Post-traumatic growth is along the same lines as resiliency, but a little bit different. You see, with resiliency, we bounce back to the same level we were at before the trauma. With post-traumatic growth, we bounce ahead. We leap ahead and have some type of really significant life change happen. This is great news, as we've all had some collective trauma in the last several months. Seeing COVID-19 patients die and being stored by the hundreds. Seeing the death of George Floyd. I know that really impacted me. I took a month off of YouTube because I was finishing up an anxiety series with meditations, and I just didn't feel it was appropriate to tell you to breathe. I know it knocked me off my feet. So many of the important people in my life are Black. I have been a witness to some injustices, a friend being pulled over, taking me home after a gig in San Francisco, followed by a police officer. He saw him in the rearview mirror and said to me, "There's a policeman following me." And I said, "Why? You're not doing anything wrong. You're not speeding, your lights all work, and you're just giving me a ride home so I don't have to pay for a cab." And he looked over at me and he said, "I'm a Black man in a white neighborhood." And he told me to stay calm. And I watched as that officer followed us all the way to my apartment building, got out of the car, and very strongly questioned him. I watched my friend stay calm. And later he told me, so that there would be no cause for that officer to cause him any harm. And it broke my heart. And so we've all had some instances of trauma, whether it's PTSD or not. I know I was diagnosed with PTSD after finding my California mom passed away after 3 days' time. It impacted my life greatly. But I also had post-traumatic growth come from not only that incident, but then a few months later, I blew out my entire knee. I was extremely athletic at that time, and then found myself not even being able to walk. 9 months of formal physical therapy. But because of that, I lived a lifelong dream the following year. I became a professional musician. I started playing my flute and doing improvisation with different bands in the clubs throughout San Francisco. And right before I moved back to Michigan, I had my own gig at a jazz club on Fisherman's Wharf. When I moved back to Michigan, I continued to play professionally. And so that lifelong dream probably would not have happened if I wouldn't have had the trauma. Now, we don't really invite trauma, but it happens in life. I know that after finding my friend passed away, that there was nothing to fear anymore. And then after losing my ability to do all my sports, I turned to my flute. I turned to my music, and I fulfilled a lifelong dream. So let's take a deeper look into what is post-traumatic growth. What are the 5 areas of post-traumatic growth? And I want to relate it to today's current situation. Researchers Tedeschi and Calhoun define post-traumatic growth in 5 different areas of our lives. 1. Greater appreciation of life. 2. Better relationships with others. 3. New possibilities in life. 4. Personal strength. And 5. Spiritual change. I think right now, all of us have a greater appreciation of life with COVID-19, with the death of George Floyd and others, that we are realizing that our lives have value, our lives have purpose, life is short. And so we have a greater appreciation of life and hopefully the present moment. Relationship with others. I can see so greatly, especially in my community, how with the COVID-19 that families have become closer. People are spending more time with their children. People are valuing their relationships with others more. People are uniting more than ever. I know there's a lot of division right now, but there's also a great amount of unity happening in our world as well. New possibilities in life. We've all had to adapt to the new normal, but I think a lot of people have been stretched. They've been able to see that there are new possibilities in life for them, that there are things that they've always wanted to do that now they have the time to do. Sometimes it takes some hardship to push us in that direction, just like my PTSD events pushing me to finally realize the dream of becoming a professional musician. Personal strength. We have all learned to get a little bit stronger and handle a little bit more than perhaps we thought we ever could. And I know from my experiences that when I do now go through some hardship, I can look back to that very traumatic year that I had and realize that I have the strength within me, that I have the ability to not only survive, but to thrive. And lastly, spiritual change. I've always had a relationship with God. I was brought up in the church and also going to the synagogue with my grandfather. But I will say, after that traumatic year, I wasn't angry at God. I didn't blame God. I was actually even more thankful that I got to keep my leg, for one thing, after my injury, but also just for all the love and support that I was shown by other people, because God is love. And so my prayer life is stronger than ever. And even during these last several months, I really guard my morning meditation time with God. So I'd like for you to comment below. Let me know, how have you grown during this time of adversity? Or perhaps share another time of adversity where you found personal and spiritual and relationship growth after trauma. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found some value in it. I hope most of all that you will now look for ways to grow from this adversity. And I have to tell you, sometimes it doesn't happen right away. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. You know, like the little seed that you plant that ends up sprouting. That's what post-traumatic growth is like. So let's plant those seeds of growth and water them and nourish them and watch them flourish. And until next time, I'll see you then.